A2D, welcome back. We got some news this week. We got actually today, we got a couple hires in the NFL, some coaching hires. So we wanted to have a quick show and discuss the potential possibilities. We got a lot of rumors going around today with Aaron Rodgers because in Denver, Nathaniel Hackett, the Green Bay offensive coordinator, everyone's saying he's going to Denver. Aaron Rodgers is going to Denver. So let
Let
us
the
know, guys. Let us know what
rumor
you guys think. If you agree or disagree, let us know.
let the rumor
What do you
mill
think?
start, buddy. Now, you know what? I already said I think he's out of Green Bay. I think he's been there, done that. I think he's ready to move on. I think he's been ready to move on for a while. But there's going to be some rumors, man, and Nathaniel Hackett's going to be right in the middle of that. You called it earlier in the week, where the Giants hired the GM came from Buffalo. So you said right off the bat, Brian Daboll is going to go to New York. So when you have these relationships in the NFL, it only makes sense that they move along with what they're comfortable with. So now if Aaron Rodgers moves, Denver is going, and he's already said Denver was kind of a team they talked about last year. And that is a team that is full of young talent. Let me tell you what, that's going to be a fun
Yeah,
division.
that defense, their defense was legit. I actually drafted them in fantasy. They got some playmakers. Their corner, they just drafted the first round. Pastor Sertan is solid, dude. Their safety, Justin Simmons, I believe is his name. Dude's
Mm-hmm.
a baller, man. So they got Chubb up front, the edge guy. So the defense under Vic Fangio, who's no longer there, was pretty good. The receivers, they got some young guys. They got at tight end Noah Fant, receivers Cortland Sutton, Jerry Judy, Tim Patrick. They just extended him to like a 4-year deal. So they got some pass catchers. They got a good defense. But does he want to go over there? I don't know if it's up to Aaron Rodgers. If it is, I know the familiar thing, and everyone wants to jump the gun. Me personally, I'm not going there. I just don't see him when you have Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert in the same division. I know Aaron Rodgers, he ain't scared of nobody, whatever. He's, extra confident, all that, but why make it hard on yourself? You might have just see if there's a better situation out there. I don't want to be rushed to connect the dots so quick. It could happen. It might end up happening. And if Devontae goes too, he don't care who he's going against if he has that guy. But me personally, I don't think there's a chance in hell that Green Bay lets Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams walk out the door. Rodgers is hard enough to swallow. I think they're going to give Jordan Love, no matter how much you hate the guy, I think they're going to give him a shot. I think Devontae Adams is going to be as good of a asset to assisting Jordan Love to potentially be a franchise quarterback, which is ultimately what the Packers need as an organization. They have had two quarterbacks in 30 years. They don't want to all of a sudden draft one and then now it's a bust. Like I trust the Packers. I think they went up and got him. I think they're gonna give Jordan Love a shot. I think Devontae is gonna be a key part in giving him a shot. So Devontae will stick around. This is just my speculation. I think Devontae stays. I think Rodgers leaves. Rodgers is going to have to choose where he wants to go. Is it Denver? Because you know the system, you know the coach, and who knows? Maybe they'll give him like Tom Brady basically was a GM, coach, quarterback, everything in Tampa. Maybe Denver does that for Rodgers. That's his. Maybe they hired the coach for him. Maybe they will give him control of everything, and maybe he does go to Denver. Maybe he does. Who knows? But my gut feeling, I don't think it's gonna happen. That's just me. That's my 2 cents on the Nathaniel Hackett, Aaron Rodgers rumors.
My 2 cents. Okay, so 5 years ago, I would agree with you 100%. We're in a new NFL. We are in a new NFL where the players have a lot of say. You're starting to see people demand trades. You're starting to see people demand themselves out of contracts. And there's going to be two teams that are in the play for Aaron Rodgers next year. One's going to be Green Bay because that's where he's played his entire career. And I honestly believe Denver. Denver was a team that they talked about last year. And I think Denver is another team that it would be a very, very smooth transition for him. It's somewhere where I think that he, I understand the division is tough and I get all that. I don't really think that's going to come into his mind frame. I think that would be good for the NFL to have. You forget about Derek Carr. Derek Carr had his best season as a pro. It's going to be a fun division for sure. Now, does his playoff chances go way down? Of course it does, because he's in Patrick Mahomes' division. Honestly, it's the worst for the Chargers because they have a team right now that can compete. But if you have Denver now, Denver beat them pretty handily one of those games. Like Denver has a pretty good team, man. Pat Surtain I talked about all year.
2 good running backs.
Now you talk about Davante Adams not being able to go with him. Now, I have as much as I disagree with this and how much it makes me.
I didn't say he's not able to go with him. I said I don't think he's going to because the Green Bay, like at the same time, the Green Bay, you can't just. I know the players have, power and everything, but at the same time, you got to do what's best for your organization. I ultimately see them franchise. I don't think Davante is gonna want to sign an extension with Green Bay. Ain't no way in hell. I think it's gonna be a franchise tag.
There's three things that can happen with Davante Adams this year. One of 3 things. Okay, they can franchise tag him. Okay. Now, if they franchise tag him, what they can do, it's kind of like a sign and trade, and they can actually get some value for him. Now, if they franchise tag him, or if he signs a 1-year extension, whatever he does, they can sign and trade and try to get value out of him. That would be something because after a year, they're getting nothing for him. So that might be a way they can kind of go down that road with him. They could franchise, or they franchise tag him and, he demands a trade. He's like, I don't want to be here. You need to let me go. If Aaron's not coming back, you got to let me go. See, 5 years ago, you don't hear that kind of stuff happening. You started seeing quarterbacks take control of their teams, but you didn't hear guys like Deshaun Watson's and all that go and demand a trade. And then, all this rumor mill starts happening. You don't hear that.
And then sit out for a full year.
You didn't hear that.
If Davante's that unhappy, you just brought up Watson, and I'm sorry to jump in like this, but I was thinking about this the whole time, and you almost segued it perfectly for me, so I just have to go here. And Deshaun Watson demanded a trade, right? How'd that work out for him this year? If they franchise tag Davante and he demands a trade, we will see Davante Adams sit out the entire year.
You know what?
The Packers are going to franchise tag him. I'm pretty confident in that. They have to. If you just let these guys walk, just let them walk out the door like, thank you. Like, oh my God, dude. People will riot in Green Bay. So you got to lose your job for that kind of crap.
So Deshaun Watson, you just asked me how'd that work out for him. It worked exactly how that guy wanted it to work out. Are you kidding me? That guy sat out an entire year, didn't play for that team. I mean, that team was pretty bad. He sat out the entire year, but still got paid. I respect Deshaun Watson. I mean, I'm not gonna go into legal stuff. Like, I don't think that.
But as an organization, I shouldn't have said worked out for him personally. How did it work out for that organization? Because
it's terrible. I mean, his value
they're now in complete rebuild mode.
His value has gone down over the last year only because the speculation around his legal troubles have gone up a little bit. He has sat out an entire year now. Now there's questions about his character and his attitude. And does he want to play and this and this and this? So now, teams are falling out of the contention for him. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is a completely different type of situation like a Colin Kaepernick, because Colin Kaepernick didn't have the talent to be a top 32 quarterback in my book. Once he got figured out by defenses. Deshaun Watson has the possibility of being a top 5 quarterback for a long time. And I still think GMs know that. And I think once he goes back to business and starts shaking off the rust, I think that you're going to see that from him no matter where he ends up. But, he took a year off. He's starting to get all his legal troubles. I think by the end of March, for sure, like all that stuff will be resolved and we're going to know exactly what we're going to be getting next year with Deshaun. He's going to play next year. He's going to play for somebody. We don't know where it's going to be yet. I think his last snap hey, here's the hoping, right? I think his last snap for Houston.
You said that about Tommy.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't know. I have to go into the books for Tampa. If Tom retires, I don't know how that works. If Tampa's off the books,
I'm pretty sure it's a player option.
So if he retires, does that cancel any dead space on the roster on the salary cap though? That I'm not sure about. But I mean, regardless, I mean, Deshaun's carrying a $40 million contract to somebody. So it's going to have to be somebody that can ride that out. But
We don't want that.
going back to Aaron Rodgers, again, a smooth transition to where he's going to have a lot of say. I think John Elway will allow him to have a lot of say in that team, in that locker room. I think Nathaniel Hackett's going to allow. I think that'd be a perfect transition. Now going back to Devontae Adams, okay, if he was say, hey, no, if Aaron's gone, I'm gone. Do not franchise tag me. If you franchise tag me, I'm sitting out. I think Allen Robinson almost did it 2 years ago or last year. You're starting to see it a little bit more. These guys are starting to, play their cards because they're seeing it work. They're seeing, they have a little bit more voice. The players union is allowing them to have more voices in the locker room. They want their health insurance. They want, the concussion protocol. They want everything, and they've gotten everything. So they're starting to have more voices. You're seeing Patrick Mahomes and what's in
And
his contract.
that makes some sense because if he tells them, like you just mentioned, if he tells them, I'm not going to play, if you franchise tag me, I'm not going to play, then you're the Packers, who are already strapped for cap.
Yeah.
You really want to risk paying Devontae
That's a
Adams
huge risk.
18-20 million to just sit
Not
at home?
play. Yeah. And
exactly.
I mean,
so I get what you're saying.
If he sits out, he's in breach of contract, and then they don't have to pay him, and then they can actually fine him too. But that still goes against their cap. So if that's a risk they're willing to take, I don't think it is. I think that, Matt LaFleur and, that organization actually, they actually have respect for the players. And I think that they would actually let him go, believe it or not. Now, we'll see. Now, the other thing that they can do, so they franchise tag him and he actually plays, or he sits out. They franchise tag him and they trade him, or they just let him go completely. So one of those three things are going to happen. And I mean, if I was Green Bay, I would probably sign him to a contract and have a sign and trade ready to rock. And, it'd probably go to a team like Vegas or Denver. I could see him playing for one of those two teams. Why Denver? Because of course Aaron Rodgers, and because of that offensive coordinator. Why Vegas? Because he played with Derek Carr in college. So you see those two connections, and I could, he'll have a rapport and he'll go on being Devontae Adams for the next 3-4 years. He stays in Green Bay. His production without Aaron Rodgers, with a guy like Jordan Love, his production is going to ultimately fall off. Now, unless if I'm completely wrong and Jordan Love comes out to be the next version of Aaron Rodgers for the next 15 years, which I don't see happening. Devontae's going to fall off. Yeah, Devontae's going to fall off too. And, this guy, he's looking to get paid too as a top receiver. He deserves to get paid as a top receiver. So if Green Bay is not willing to do that at the 18, 20, $22 million a year, they need to let him go. And to a team that's going to allow it to happen.
The sign and trade, I think, was the best point you made. I think that's honestly, now that you mentioned that, either they franchise tag him and they trade him, so that way they're not on the hook for all that money, because he's going to hold out. So if they can franchise tag him and let him go on a 1-year deal, wherever it is, whoever wants to trade for the franchise tag, some team like you just mentioned, I think those are two, ideal landing spots. Probably the two favorites. Vegas is a really good one. I can see him going there because they got the ammunition to do it. So that's a really good one. Denver, I'm not sure of their cap situation. I know they have the rookie quarterback. They got Teddy Bridgewater, so they probably do. Typically, the teams that aren't paying a franchise quarterback, big money, typically they have money to spend. So Denver, they're not paying one, so they should have some money to spend, I would imagine. So the dollar, you should match up, and I could see that happening for sure. That's a good point, because the thing about Green Bay is they have to take care of themselves. They're not going to just let these guys walk out the door scot-free. And that's my biggest thing about it. But the sign and trade that you just mentioned, I think that is a way where they can get some compensation. They get the money going on. Somebody else is taking that off the books, and also they get some draft picks maybe. So
and they save a little bit of face too. So that would make the most sense as a GM.
Right.
Now, if they have no takers in that point, you talk about they let him go scotch-free. Well, that's not necessarily the case in this situation. That's a huge risk they're going to be willing to take to franchise tag. That's a lot on the books. I mean, franchise tag is the average over the top, 5 to 10 receivers top 5. So, that's a
I think
lot of money, man.
Chris Godwin, I think he got Chris Godwin was just franchise tagged his first year of being eligible to get that, which I'm pretty sure Devontae's never been the same would apply. I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
was 17.5, whatever it was,
It's
around
well, it's
18
going
million.
to go up this year too. It's going to be closer to 19,
Right.
probably 20 million this year because of, some of the contracts that you're going to start seeing come out, in the off season. But being able to save face, being able to say, hey, we're not going to take this risk, or we are going to take this risk. I just don't see everything Devontae said over the last year. I just don't see him playing happily in Green Bay with his mouth shut on a franchise tag without Aaron Rodgers. I just don't see it happening.
Unless they have any type of confidence in Jordan Love, which, to your point,
I just
you
don't
can't
see
really be
them
too
having
confident.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't be. And as an organization, you're foolish to just throw all your faith into him, which is why I kind of think they want to keep Devontae. And if you lose Rodgers, you got Jordan Love on the deal. You're gonna have you're gonna have some money to spend. So they could potentially pay him. They could offer him. They can tell him, hey, just franchise tag, give us this 1 year, and we will make you the highest, or we'll make you the highest paid right now in NFL history at the receiver position. That maybe he
If
seen
that's his
Jordan Love a little
motivation,
bit.
man, if that's his motivation, if money's his motivation, which I mean, money's best motivator on
He
the
hasn't won
planet.
a ring though.
Yeah.
And the Derek Carr, I really like your Derek Carr in Vegas. That to me, I think is more likely than Denver, honestly, because Denver to be able to acquire Rodgers, pay for him, and pay for Adams, like that's you're asking you're 60 million in cap space or whatever it is that they're going to eat up between almost two players.
So I don't. I mean, again, you're right. I don't know the cast base. I know Teddy's coming. I think Teddy. Again, I love the guy.
He's got to come off.
I love the guy, and I wish the best for him. He's had the most miserable luck.
Come to Tampa, Teddy.
What we saw,
TB
yeah.
and TB.
Hey, I would love to see him get a shot in
Run it
Tampa.
back.
I'd love to see him get a shot in Tampa. I would love to see him get a shot with a team that can actually contend. I would love to see it, man, because you know what? I love the guy. He's a great person. He's a very, he may not be one of the top even 20 quarterbacks in football, but you know what? He's not a bad quarterback, man. And before his leg injury, I mean, he had the chance to be a top 10 quarterback, and he got derailed for 2 years, and then I don't know if he ever fully came back, but even in Carolina, I mean,
right?
I hope I hope the best for him, but I don't see him being Denver's starting quarterback. I definitely don't see Drew Lock being their quarterback. They're going to make a move for somebody. And now with a new head coach, those rumors,
he's going to get his guy.
Those rumors,
every coach gets their guy. Sorry.
Those rumors are going to start to heat up a lot over the next couple of weeks. We're going to see the future of Tom Brady. We just saw Big Ben retire today. So, hats off to Big Ben, but there's going to be an opening in Pittsburgh. There's going to be an opening maybe in Tampa. There's going to be an opening in Denver. There's probably going to be an opening in Green Bay. There's going to be openings in Houston. There's going to be openings all over the place. I don't know if that kid in Houston won the job or not, but there's going to be
no one's
all over the place. So, Kirk Cousins is a guy that might get traded this offseason, because we're bringing a new regime. And is he the guy that we're going to go forward with? We don't know. Trey Lance is probably going to take over. So Jimmy G's probably going to be a guy that's going to be available, so I don't, and again, in Pittsburgh, I don't see Mason Rudolph being that guy. In Houston, that kid had a pretty good ending to the season. So maybe he gets a chance next year to prove what he's got. They just fired Coley, so we'll see who they bring in. But, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now that these guys could go anywhere. There's going to be 5 or 6 teams. We're going to see what happens with Russ. I mean, there's going to be a whole bunch of moving pieces, and it's going to be really, really interesting.
It's going to take some time. Some of these guys, especially I know Tom is waiting to see how the Bucs address their roster. We got a lot of decisions to make, and that could be big. But I also saw a report today that he's going to make his decision next week. So it might not mean anything if he's making his decision next week, I think he might be retiring. And if that's the case, then you could add the
Yeah.
Bucks to the mix of all these potential, quarterback changes. There could be so many this offseason, potentially more than we've ever seen in a single offseason. Quarterback changes, and it could be huge. The other hire we had today, that because that's the rumor mill and everything. Now that we had Hackett hired in Denver, the other one we had in Chicago, we talked about it last week a little bit. We knew they were going to go in a defensive direction. They hired Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator that was with the Indianapolis Colts.
Mm-hmm.
We knew they were going to go defense. Their defense is where the strength of their players are at. I know they got Justin Fields, but they need to just hire an offensive coordinator and hopefully he takes care of that side of the ball. They needed to get the defense. Defense to me still wins championships, so they had to go that way and they did. So how do you think that impacts your division, man? You're a Vikings fan. Chicago, they got their coach. You guys still haven't got yours. How do you think? Do you like the hire? Do you think it's a good fit? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much. I know Indy had a pretty good defense over there, and I don't know much about the guy. I mean, he was kind of a quiet defensive coordinator. I mean, the Brian Flores, as we talked about. The Dan Quinns. I mean, those are a little bit more high profile. Dan Quinn did say he's going back to Dallas. It sounds like Brian Flores might take a year off. He might go coach some college kids. I don't. At this point, I don't see him taking an NFL job. If he does, it might
There's
be
still
like.
6 openings.
Yeah, it might be like Indianapolis or I'm sorry, not Indy. It might be Houston. It might be one of these teams that he might go and coach. But I liked the Chicago fit for Flores, and they obviously went defensive, which I saw coming. I think that's a good fit. I don't know much about the guy, but I think going at defense, I think they're going to be better this year. We'll see how Justin Fields can progress, how Darnell Mooney can progress. We're going to see what happens with Allen Robinson. I really don't think he's going to stay there. I think he goes somewhere else. He might go back to a team like Jacksonville. Yeah. So
he's got to go, man.
Yeah.
Sure.
He was a ghost this year. So I don't see him re-signing. He could go back to Jacksonville or, another team like that could
Vegas.
something. But he'll be one of the guys that, will sign probably in July because he'll be one of the later signings. But I do like the fit, man. I like them going defense. Of course, I think Chicago in my division, I don't like to see them make right decisions. They got their GM. I think this guy is, everybody was really high on him for a reason. So bringing in
made a quick hire.
Yeah.
He got hired and he made a hire that day. So maybe that was part of why they hired him. He actually has a plan in place and he's not afraid to do it. He made that hire pretty quick. So he obviously likes him.
Yeah, and they're gonna have a higher draft pick too, and they're gonna probably bring in another weapon, to play in that offense and help Justin Fields out. They drafted Tevin Jenkins, who actually, he showed his rookie. He showed his, him being a rookie this year. He had some moments where, he allowed some sacks and hits and stuff like that. But you know what? He was actually, the 2 games I watched him in those 2 Minnesota games, he actually had some grit to him. He had some fight. He stood up for Justin Fields on a couple late hits. Like that kid is going to be probably a pro for a long time. So they are pretty set at tackle. They might address the interior offensive line, especially if they're going to run the ball. But their defense, man, has defensive playmakers. Khalil Mack was hurt all year. They have one of the best run stuffers inside. I mean, they just have all the playmakers on defense that you can ask for a foundation. And to bring in a defensive minded guy is just going to, bring that to the forefront. So Chicago will be a better team next year. Detroit will be a better team next year. I think they're going to fight for Dan Campbell a little bit more. They're going to bring in some more pieces. They have, to me, one of the most, not talked about players in Amon-Ra St. Brown towards the end of that year. I mean, he's going to be a prolific, young receiver. I mean, I'm not going to put him in the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, echelon yet, but he's
a different type. He's a Cooper Kupp type. He's a smaller guy. Yeah, he's a shifty guy. Like he's not a guy you'd throw a fade to out there, but he's a guy that he's going to get open. Whatever route you need to, he's shifty. He's got good hands. He's sticking on them. He's going to make the catch, man. In a tough situation, he had the game winner a couple times. That kid had a hell of a finish for sure, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Chicago,
So
though, I mean, what I like that you just hit on is, the coach to your player's strengths, right? We just talked about their strengths are on defense, so they went with the defensive coach. We got these other openings, one in Vegas, one in Jacksonville, Miami, Minnesota, New Orleans, and Houston. Those are the ones that are open. These guys, I think that's a smart way to go. If you're a team like Vegas, your best player, one of some of your best is on offense. Really, is Derek Carr. You got Jacobs, you got Waller, Renfro. If you want to maybe sign an Allen Robinson or bring in Devontae Adams, like we talked about a little bit ago, your strength is going to be on offense. So I kind of think maybe they should go in an offensive direction or keep Bisaccia. I really like how Bisaccia finished that season. So for them, but either way, just go into your strengths. Jacksonville, you got to go offense, right? Minnesota, your team, you got to go offense, right? Miami, do you go offense because you just went defense? You had Flores, and you need Tua to really, especially in the AFC, you need Tua to ascend, or do you just turn the page? So there's going to be some of these questions on some of these remaining teams, to what play into their strengths and offense. That kind of takes me to our next hire is New York, like you said, Brian Daboll. We talked about it last week. We kind of predicted this one, and their strengths. They just invested some receiver. In Kenny Galladay. They got Saquon Barkley. They got Daniel Jones. They got some offensive pieces in place. Defense, not so much. I know I like their secondary. They got Logan Ryan and James Bradbury. They got some good secondary pieces over there, but they got to fix Daniel Jones if they want any hope. And they went with a guy that has been around Josh Allen for a few years. Daniel Jones is actually pretty mobile. He's a pretty mobile guy like Josh Allen. They're a big guy. He's a big dude like Josh Allen. They're kind of built similarly. I know he's not the same guy Josh Allen is by any stretch, but the similarities are there. And we connected the dots last week, and I think it's a pretty good hire for them to go in that direction. I think Daboll is going to get that offense stable. I'm not going to say that offense is going to be humming. Hell no. But if they can get that offensive line figured out, they actually have some skilled position pieces, So they got Sterling Shepard. They got Kadarius Toney was a first-round pick they had this year, Evan Ingram. So they actually have some skill position pieces on offense that they can do some things with. So if they can get creative and move Tony around and actually use the weapon that he can be, I see the Giants, they're not going to win the division because Dallas is going to hold that down, it seems like, while Dak is there. But I think they're going to be better. I actually like the hire.
I do too. Okay, and here's why. You touched on Daniel Jones, man. And you talk about kids that really haven't had the opportunity, whether they didn't have any weapons or injury or coaching or, Joe Judge was, he was just as much of his joke as, Matt Rule and all the
College
other
coach,
jokers.
man.
Yeah. So he was a pretty much a joker. He didn't really care. It didn't seem like he cared about that job. He didn't seem like he cared about wanting to push them to be better. You hit on Kadarius Toney, man.
Like, good. Sorry.
Yeah, you hit on Kadarius Toney. He was hurt for most of the year. He seems like he's made of butter, and you can get sliced right through him. But when this kid did play, he was pretty good. That game against Dallas was one of the better performances of any receiver in any game. I mean, he just seemed like he's unstoppable. He has a little bit of a swag to him. Here's what's gonna make that team this year is Saquon's going to have a full off season. He's going to get healthy. He's going to rest at it. He's going to get that ankle right. Going to get that knee is now a year in the past. Saquon is a top 5 talent at that position when he's healthy. Okay. And, a lot of guys took risks on him in the first round of fantasy this year. I wasn't really willing to take that risk because there's other guys around him, but he was a guy that you could have risked on because he could give you that production. And, you saw it against the Saints. I mean, he did give you that production. But he had the ankle injury, and then, you saw it on the other side. I don't know if Devontae Booker, I don't know his contract situation. He may be going somewhere else. He might be looking to get paid somewhere else. He had a pretty good season. But Saquon having a full off season, Daniel Jones having a full offseason, having an offensive-minded guy. Brian Daboll put together one hell of a fucking offense in Buffalo. Daniel Jones can use his legs. He's kind of weird when he does run. He's kind of like a stick figure when he runs, but he still has the ability to do it.
He utilized what I liked about Daboll that you just brought up. Two names: Isaiah McKenzie and Cole Beasley. Right? He utilized the shit
And
out
that
of
could
those
be
two
Kadarius
guys.
Toney, yeah, or Sterling
Bingo,
Shepard, like you mentioned, yeah.
bingo,
And they
bingo.
have the speed, and you're gonna see, and even Evan Ingram, like this guy. The problem with Evan Ingram is his drops. He drops the
Dawson
ball.
Knox.
Yeah, he just, he's Deontay Johnson on steroids, man. He every time the ball comes to him, it seems like he's dropping the ball. He'll if you look at his fantasy stats, man, like there was a game I think he had like 9 targets and 2 catches for 20 yards. Well, if you complete 9 balls to this guy, you're probably getting say 7 for 70, and maybe one of those are a touchdown. That's pretty damn good fantasy production from a tight end. So there's definitely skill there. You talked about Logan Ryan and James Bradbury on their side. They have a decent secondary. They have I think Star Latulele is there. I believe in and he's
Leonard
actually
Williams.
they're pretty decent in the middle. They could use a couple linebackers, and they could use they could use a couple more playmakers on defense for sure. They need to shore up their offensive line if they're going to want to run the ball, which, if you have Saquon, you're going to want to run the ball at least 20 times. Yeah, you're going to have a top, 3 to 5 pick this year. Go out and, shore up and get yourself like either the top tackle in the draft, or, if you need to, you can maybe trade back a little bit, get some draft capital, and go with like an offensive guard or something like that to shore up that offensive line.
Right, but
And
if you take a guard, it's in round 2. They go tackle like you mentioned, or best defender, because they can use any type of defender. If it's an edge guy, a linebacker, a DB, they got some good DBs, but you can never have enough good DBs. So wherever you go defensively, you just can't take a guard in the first round. You can't do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you can move back. The issue with this draft, not the issue. The issue that the Giants might run themselves into is this draft is really deep in the first round with a lot of top cornerbacks. It looks like a Derek Stingley out of like LSU. His name's getting dragged around. There's a lot of cornerbacks, like 5 or 6 cornerbacks that are projected to go in the first round this year. And that's kind of the one place where they're pretty decent at, right? So, you would think that they'd want to go tackle. You'd think they'd want to go, I think they went Kadarius Toney was their first pick last year, right? So they don't really need to go any more offensive firepower. Daboll might because he's an offensive-minded guy, but I would see them going with either offensive line or plug that defensive, defensive unit a little bit better. But yeah, the Giants, I do like the hire. I think Brian Daboll is a great offensive coordinator. Let's see if he's going to transition into being a great head coach. I think he can be. I hope they give this guy a shot for 2 or 3 years because, don't give him a one and done because it's going to take a little bit of time with the roster that he has. Joe Judge, really didn't really take it seriously, it seemed like. And, I think Brian Daboll will. So I do like the hire. Again, they have a lot of speed, and I think that he can utilize that to make them better. They're going to finish 3rd or 4th in that division, because that's just kind of how, that division's not very good.
It takes time to rebuild, man, for sure. It takes time to rebuild, but they're off to a good start. That's the foundation. You got to get your GM and head coach right. If you don't have those 2 spots figured out, then you don't have a real shot, period. And to get those guys from the Buffalo regime, it's a pretty good club to steal from right there. You got their OC and their player personnel guy. So I think I like the direction they're heading in, and it's not a long travel from Buffalo to New York. They're used to the cold weather if they need be or whatever. So it's not going to be a crazy transition. But they do have to rebuild. We just mentioned the roster. The roster just needs work. No matter how good the coach is, players play, and you need the right players. So they're going to have to draft correctly. They don't really. I think they spent a decent amount of money last year. They got Kenny Golladay. So they're gonna just draft well. Just draft well, and some pieces are there. You're gonna have to draft and fill out the roster. No pressure on him this year to produce, like you just mentioned, third or fourth in division. That's the expectation. Shock the world, maybe. I doubt it. But I do like the hire. I like the direction. You going from Buffalo. I think that's a good direction for the Giants fans. Overall, though, the out of the three hires, the one we started out with was Denver. That's where the biggest rumors are going to come around because of Aaron Rodgers. Man, that's where the biggest hype is going to be from. So holler at us, guys. I don't think there's a chance that him and Devontae goes, but maybe we'll see. Let us know. I know all you guys are thinking that uh, Devontae and Rodgers are going to Denver now. Not so fast, my friends. Not so fast.
So we're going to go back into this because you know what? I think that there actually is a pretty decent chance that it does happen, and here's why. So the Von Miller trade, they got some capital from the Rams in that trade. So if there was a sign and trade to happen with the Packers, it could be with Denver because they're going to have the capital. Javonte Williams is a rookie and he has a lot of talent. So, but he's not getting paid like he's on a $1 million contract.
I think Melvin Gordon comes off the book too. So to even further your point, they're gonna have some
Yeah.
money.
All their playmakers are really young. Jerry Judy's really young. Even Cortland Sutton's really young. On the other side of the ball, Patrick Surtain, who, I talked about this kid came out of Alabama, of course, but he came out of preseason just looking like a lightning rod. And I didn't really I liked Micah Parsons from the get-go to be the defensive player of the year or rookie of the year, but Patrick Surtain kind of pushed him a little bit, and this kid is a baller. He is a baller. And so on the defensive side of the ball, they're very young. They actually have a pretty good defense, and they don't.
Justin Simmons might be the best free safety in the NFL.
Yeah, they're gonna go pay a quarterback. I mean, if it's not Rodgers, they're gonna go pay somebody $20 million to play that position for him. It's not gonna be, I talked about Russ a little bit. I think Russ actually stays in Seattle. I mean, before we go too deep in that, and I think other than that, like if it's not Rodgers, they're not gonna pay Rodgers. Rodgers is gonna get 40. Well, Devontae's gonna get 20. You're right. There's gonna be 60 million on the books. I would not be shocked if Denver is one of those teams that has that capacity to do it. And those two guys right there put that team. I'm not going to sit there and say they're going to be Kansas City, right? But it's going to make it definitely
have an exciting division.
It definitely makes them a contender. It definitely, in my book, puts them as a wild card, if not better. And, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he still's got a lot of juice left in those legs. And you make that guy happy and he's ready to rock. And Devontae Adams going into his
about it too. That's a good point. And if you are Denver and you're John Elway, you went for Peyton Manning, right?
I'm doing this
Peyton
right now.
Manning.
With that roster, man, I'm going all in right now.
You have to. You did it. Yeah. And you did it with Peyton Manning and it worked out. And you're looking at Justin Herbert and you're looking at Pat Mahomes. What do you have? What can you get besides Aaron Rodgers that really makes you feel like you have a shot? Derek Carr, like say if Vegas goes crazy and they go and they get Rodgers and Devontae, and then Derek Carr goes to Denver, whatever, like no other quarterback really makes you feel like you have a shot besides Aaron. So I understand the rumors. I understand everything. But at the same time, to me, I know it's out of conference, so that's a good thing. If you're the Packers, you're at least trading to Denver. You don't got to see them until maybe the Super Bowl. They're not getting there. But either way, it's so hard to just let those guys walk because it has to be a sign and trade. They have to get maybe some of that stuff back from Denver. It could happen. I honestly don't think it's like I'm not so quick as everyone else.
I'm the guy like what if I think about it, I'm a classic overthinker. And so I'm already kind of picturing those two in Denver uniforms. And, if they both were to go to Denver, let's just say they are a package deal and they both go to Denver, that offense, maybe Cortland Sutton, but not Jerry Judy. That offense is now probably better than the one that they're in right now. So you add more playmakers. I mean, Javonte Williams Bakhtiari.
Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon.
But see that offensive line in Denver is not too shabby either. Just because they don't have some everyday known
No,
names.
they got Boyles or Bowles or something.
Bowles,
They
yeah,
first round
yeah.
left tackle. He's pretty
Garrett
solid
Bowles,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, so they have some pretty solid offensive line. They have a young rookie who this kid is one of the next up and coming guys at the running back position. He was somebody that, here's I'm sorry to here's a little leaf into my future in fantasy, but I was going to pick him probably in the top 3 rounds next year. And he's probably one of my biggest sleepers going into next year. And I really like him. And if you put an offense
I'm
around
not
him,
sleeping on him, man. He's especially with Melvin Gordon leaving. Like there is no
well, I
sleeping
mean, as
going on.
far as we were picking him in like rounds 8, 9, 10 this year.
Oh yeah, he went up just like
I'm
Jamar
gonna
Chase
pick.
went up.
Yeah, I'm
Certain
gonna pick
guys
him.
go way up for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick him in probably, if not late second, early third, mid third. Like that's where I'm gonna be targeting that guy.
Yeah, he's not getting past the 4th round. I doubt he gets
Yeah,
past
and
round
the
4.
more people talk about him, the more he's gonna rise. So that's why I'm trying to keep him quiet a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the talent that they have around him, Jerry Jeudy, I mean, he came off a broken leg or ankle or whatever he had this year. I think he had the really bad high ankle sprain, and so he coming back healthy, and a guy
But
like
they got to
Aaron
give up. The
Rodgers.
only reason I mentioned Judy is because if you're the Packers, do you really like is Sutton? You don't want him. The only guy that really has value is Judy, because he has the potential to be a wide receiver 1. Maybe Sutton, I think, is a solid wide receiver 2. He's not a wide receiver 1. So if you're losing a wide receiver 1, you're losing a QB 1. You want some type of ammunition in return.
That's
So
fantastic.
that's why I
You can
mentioned
want all
Judy.
you want, dude. I want to win the lottery. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it. Cortland Sutton's going
But
to.
they have control. They have control. So it's not like they're not going to just let this shit go.
If they
They
have
need
control.
something in return.
If they
They
have
have
control.
they might not have control of Rodgers because of the deal they might have already arranged, but they have control of Devontae Adams. They can franchise tag him.
Yeah.
They're not letting Devontae walk. They're gonna franchise. It'll be a sign and trade for Devontae. Rodgers might walk, but Devontae is getting a sign and trade or a franchise tag. Period.
Yeah, but you're going to get more draft capital than you will player capital. And if you're going to get
which
a
is
player,
ultimately what you want anyway. Like I shouldn't have threw out Judy. They would rather have a first round pick than Jerry Judy.
I mean, yeah, at this point, actually, I mean, I think Jerry Judy's I don't think he's a top 10 or top 20 guy. I think he's a very good route runner. I think he's quick as hell. And I think he has the potential to be a very good receiver in this league. Give him Aaron Rodgers and this guy is going to go ballistic, but if they're going to get a player in return, it's going to be a guy like, you're a position they could be talking about would be, no, again, I think that Denver would be smart, and I think they'd give up draft capital. I think they do push the chips in because they have all the pieces. They don't really have very many weak spots right now, except for the quarterback position, or maybe, if you're talking about, defense, maybe linebacker is one of their, but they can go and draft that in the 2nd, 3rd round. That's notorious where those linebackers fall. They need to push all in. If it's something that where they can get both of them, I mean, if that's even if Denver, if John Elway can even sniff that to where that's a possibility, he needs to do whatever he can with his draft. He can give his entire draft away and go make it happen. That's how you get.
Draft.
That's how
do it.
That's how you're gonna get. That's how you're gonna get the possibility of a Super Bowl in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's their only shot.
That's it.
Just based off the 2 other quarterbacks in your division and what your division is looking like, it really is their only shot. So I get it. We'll see. We'll see if it happens, man. It's going to be a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors. We're gonna have to see, watch the player movement over these this next month or so. We're gonna get into free agency. We're gonna get into the off season, and seeing how these teams shape out, seeing who goes where is going to be huge. Because these quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, I'm pretty sure he has the right to choose where he's going to go. We all know Denver is a clear candidate now at this point. So we'll see how it shakes out. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, the first domino fell today. We didn't talk about Big Ben. Hey, man, have fun in retirement, dude. Like 18 years, that's a long, successful NFL career. you came out of Cleveland of Ohio and nobody really gave you much of a shot to succeed. And you proved everybody wrong, especially with your big size and frame. You won a Super Bowl, you won 2 Super Bowls. And, congratulations, retirement, man. You deserved it. And you brought a team that nobody thought could come to the playoffs. So way to end it. In my book, it's not winning a Super Bowl, but that's going out on a high note. So congratulations, Big Ben, and good luck in retirement.
So. Right. Since you just brought that up, my 2 cents on Big Ben, man, is my lasting memories from Big Ben will be 3 things, or maybe 2: toughness, showing up in big moments. So those 2 things, and then the third thing, he never had a losing season, never in his entire career, not once under 500.
Yeah.
So he's a winner, he's clutch, and he's tough. So what else can you ask for? Drafting a guy in the first round, hell of a career, first ballot Hall of Fame. Congrats to you, Big Ben. Let's hope this retirement theme stops with you, though. Tommy, hey, Tommy, you didn't look old. Big Ben, he looked old. Tommy, you look great. Come on, Tommy, get you number 8.
I still today I'm a little bit more, now I'm more like 60-40. I still don't believe it. I don't believe the news, but Tom, what a way to steal someone's thunder. If Tom retires now, like in a week, like everybody's gonna forget Big Ben retired today. Everybody's talking about Tom Brady. Like, man, if that guy, he just wants to be the center of attention, but I still don't believe it, man. I mean, he may even say, "Hey, I'm retiring," and then like he'll come out of retirement in August just to come off the bench or just come off the couch and throw for 40 touchdowns. So I still don't believe it until I honestly have a hard time still believing Drew Brees is retired. Like, there's still a possibility he comes back, and plays for a team or something like that. But no, Drew's done. But hey, and Aaron Rodgers, man, don't tear it off the table yet. That girlfriend of his, man, he seems really happy outside of football. And I still can't think of her name, but he just seems happy. He seems like he's a different person, and I'm happy for him. I want him out of the NFC North, but I'm happy for him. If he's gonna go to a different team, hey man, why don't you come to Minnesota and we'll see if we can run it down, But that ain't gonna happen. Right. He's already legit said. He's already legit said. 2.0. He legit said like one team he will not go to is he hates Minnesota. Like, he hates our team. He hates our franchise. He's already said like, I will not go to Minnesota. He'll never do that. He that's why he always has his best games against us, is because he hates us. So he'll never come to Minnesota. Yeah, but
he's got no chance. I could see, like you mentioned, him potentially coming back to Green Bay. Honestly, those are the really only candidates. As a Bucs fan, I want to throw my Bucs in there, but that's not a real likely landing spot. I think Denver and going back to Green Bay, because they got LaFleur, man. 3 years they've been together, 13 wins at a minimum every year, which has never been done. The most wins by a team to not reach the Super Bowl over a 3-year span in NFL history. So you've been on the doorstep right there every year. So to walk away from that, they might want to give it one last shot, but financially, I don't think it's possible to do that. So I think these rumors, they're picking up for a good damn reason, because I think personally he's gone. I don't know where he's going to go, but I think Aaron Rodgers has played his last snap in Green Bay.
I do too, man. And I think Aaron Rodgers, I think he has 3 good years left, at least 3 good years left. So I see him going to sign a 3-year deal with somebody. If it's in Green Bay, guess what they also have to do? They're going to have to sign Devontae Adams, because he's not going to stay there without DA. Now, he may go somewhere else and play without him, but he's not going to stay in Green Bay without him. And, he's not going to play this carousel at year in and year out to where, hey, you franchise tag him this year, then what? He needs something in concrete that this team is going to compete for a Super Bowl for the next 3 years. And if you don't have a top receiver, that's not going to happen. So he
and not even just that, dude, because if they pay him, like we mentioned, that's going to end up being 50-60 million off the books between those 2 players alone. Like, it's a team game. They had Darius Smith, Jair Alexander, and when they don't Bakhtiari, all these guys that
Pretty sure they just paid
deserve to
Aaron
get
Jones
paid.
too.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is getting paid. AJ Dillon's coming up. They're gonna. The future doesn't look as great there. I know they have a good head coach, but the future there compared to look, we just spent time talking about Denver. Denver looks a lot better. We talked about all the young players in Denver that aren't paid yet. So if you look to the future, a lot of people were like, "What? Tom Brady picked Tampa?" But he picked Tampa because he looked at the
They had a
young
core.
roster that was around. They had a young core, and Denver kind of has a similar young core. Uh, I honestly feel like Pittsburgh kind of does too. So that's kind of another team that I can maybe see him going to, but financially, I'm not so sure. It's gonna be like I said though. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. There's gonna be a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation going around over these next few months. The off season in the NFL, there really is no off season. Every day we got news on something, and you guys stick around, subscribe. Let us know if you agree or disagree. We're gonna keep you posted on all the latest news, and hit us up, guys. Let us know. I know we have a lot of different opinions. I think no way in hell Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are both just walking away for free. Some people might think they are. Who knows? Let us know. What do you guys think? Is he going to go to Denver? Where's he going to go? Where's Aaron Rodgers end up? Does Tom Brady retire? What do you guys think? Let us know, man. Subscribe. Hit us up.
Yeah, guys, and again, pay attention for tomorrow because if you guys are in DFS, we're gonna drop a DFS video tomorrow. But yeah, hit that like, subscribe button, guys. Listen on Podbean, Spotify. Give us a shout, and until tomorrow, pay attention for the next video, and have a good night.
A2D.